Hello guys, hi there everyone, and welcome to yet another World of Warships Back to Port podcast. As you all know, we have another World of Warships CC with us today, TacticAngel. Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on today. It's nice to show up.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, we already been 3 years and no TacticAngel, so I'm feeling a bit strange about it. But first of all, tell us about your journey in World of Warships Legends. How you got started with your channel and how you got involved with World of Warships Legends.
Sure. So my journey into World of Warships Legends probably starts a little bit before the game actually came out. I used to watch a lot of World of Tanks videos, and when the Mighty Jingles started to do more World of Warships content, I was like, oh, that game looks fun. And like a year or two into World of Warships, I got on there and I tried to play it, and I was like super far behind like the learning curve. And so the game wasn't that fun to me. I would say it was conceptually fun. I enjoyed watching videos, but I didn't enjoy really playing the game, and I didn't quite get it at the time. Then I got more and more into World of Tanks on the console, and then eventually we got sort of that notice right around July 4th, 2019, that they were going to be looking for alpha testers. So I jumped into the alpha test, beta, and then straight on into the actual game. So I started a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of kind of both resources that I had in port, as well as I had a little bit more knowledge. I got to learn right alongside everybody else in the alpha how to be bad at the game, and then how to slowly get better. And I think you were.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, and alpha tester too. Yeah,
those were fun days.
Fun days. I mean, it was really fun to be deleted in the first very seconds of the game from some guys that had experience from the PC. I mean,
or just got a lucky shot. Yeah. Then you think, I'm not going to do that next game. And so you get a couple hundred of those under your belt, and then if you were like really committed, you kind of started the game off with maybe the G101 and the Texas. And I was pretty well, like, I had a good time, so I bought the Founders Pack and started making videos. And so it was pretty much just people liked watching them. I got some positive feedback, and I think it was like the Monday after I rolled over 1,000 subs on YouTube, T-Con sent me a note and is like, yeah, you're gonna apply for this thing. And I'm like, I've only talked to you like once, but thanks for the interest. And yes, of course, I'm gonna send in the thing. And so when that whole thing got off the ground, I was one of the first American CCs for the game.
Yeah, I remember that. If someone makes a walk around your YouTube channel, the first thing that it's gonna see is 30,000 views on a World of Warships video that is a guide about how you're gonna start and learn the game and all that stuff. I mean, it really that number is really amazing for a game that it's been around 2 and 3 years in the community, with all the ups and downs and all that thing. And that means that people are really watching your videos to learn the curves and to gain experience and all that stuff. Beginner guides and all that stuff, all those guides are really important. And that number means that people believe in you and in your opinions in that time. So how you feel about that? I mean, a lot of views. I mean, 30,000 views for a video about beginner's guide. It is really, really big.
So I really dislike that video, to be completely honest. It's actually recorded on a PlayStation 4 through Share Factory. It's really, really rough. But it's interesting because other people who want to get into the whole how to make videos sort of thing, it's like, if you look back, that is a rough video.
Rough and I'm gonna say not outdated. I mean, it is amateur. I'm gonna say amateur, but no, it has the views, it has the points. What we are saying, it still counts. I mean, there is a logic. I mean,
it gets you through a couple of things, like really basic stuff not to do. I like that people can get better at the game, and in some ways sometimes attribute that to stuff that I do. Obviously all the CCs hopefully are out there making videos like that. I feel like I should make more of them, but my schedule being as it is, I'm behind on the other things that I want to do. Also, since eventually I picked up covering more history stuff related to the ships that are coming out, and unfortunately have not had a lot of time to do the beginner's guides, because I think that's a place that I know a lot of people complain about. If they're like really experienced, they're like, look at all these potatoes floating around out there, and you're like, particularly when a CC says it, it's like, oh, if only somebody had some sort of massive channel where they could help teach the community. and so I think that is really our place. But yeah, it's nice that people can learn from that, and now you've reminded me again that I need to go back and actually do that.
So you play with many other YouTubers, streamers, I mean, well-known members with the community. Do you have any favorites that you like to play daily, or you don't play daily, you want to focus yourself on play solo and all that stuff? Tell us about this. I mean, you're a guy that jumps in his console daily or nights?
I'm on most days. I haven't missed all that many of the daily bonuses or anything like that, so it's usually at least a couple of games. I think I play just a little bit more than half of my time alone, and then that's usually during the week. It's usually when I'm trying to review a ship, and sometimes it's best not to play a ship in the presence of other people, because you don't have as much time to think about things yourself, or for me, think about what in the world I'm trying to do, because sometimes I get a little too social, and then you're not paying attention to like good mechanics. But yeah, I mean, of the people who make content who I play together most with is Mark, aka White, who's obviously a German CC.
Yeah.
Thank goodness his English is better than my German. But otherwise we could not be friends. But yeah, I play a lot with him. Great resource. We bounce all sorts of ideas off of one another. We yell and argue with each other frequently. So that's great. Then anybody else will have me. I'm happy to be on. I was happy to help people like Zarkoon and Chili kind of get to where they're at as well. I only had a small part in boosting either one of those, but I have helped both of them with their branding and thumbnails and stuff like that. Dirty Mike's a great guy. I've played once with Aaron and Peak. That was fun until I got tired. And then T-Bowl, obviously going all the way back. We've had a lot of streams together. One of these days we're actually going to cooperate and play like a division instead of 2 solo players who are just shooting the breeze. But I mean, they're all great and fun. But Mark is the big name out there who I play with most often, I guess.
All right, so I have to ask you something about the early days of the game. You remember how the game started, and can you see any difference 3 years now? Not only the community around the game and the social activity around the game. I mean, can you see some things going better or something going worse? What are your notes about 3 years World of Warships Legends? And I want you to tell me from your side of the CC and also from your side as a player. I mean, I know there is a difference saying something as a CC because we have a lot of SIPs to play, you know, the collaboration with the wargaming and all that stuff that give you SIPs to try, all the premiums and all that stuff. But I want also a clear view from the player side. What do you think about 3 years Legends?
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of quality of life improvements over the course of 3 years. I mean, our command wheel was different before. Some parts of it clearly better. Neptune's beard,
yeah,
where are you?
It's missing.
But like some of the stuff is, I mean, little graphics things. If you go back and watch one of those videos from 3 years ago, the game does look a lot different. It's everything from, you know, the ribbons look different, the way that the water is rendered, the fires, the splashes, the lovely animation that tells you that your boat is on fire. All of that's different. So from a player's point of view, I guess I still look at it a lot like I did at the beginning. One of the things is I don't take any of this all that seriously. So, like, when I go out there and I play the game, sometimes I'm out there to, you know, like really science the boat and figure out how it works so I can make a video. And sometimes I'm just like, yeah, we'll just, you know, drive up the middle of Two Brothers.
It's YOLO, yeah. It's YOLO time.
Or when I say to JC, hey, I'm going to do something stupid. And he's like, I'm right behind you. And we sail into the middle of a ring. And it's great. And that's really what it's about, is having fun with the game. So I think in terms of a player, it hasn't changed all that much, other than maybe the frustration that you get from facing carriers and some of your favorite ships that used to work a lot better before you discovered that they didn't have good AA.
Yeah. That's balance.
As a CC, I don't know. The CC program's a pretty good deal, because obviously we get a lot of opportunities to play around with things and test things out and give a little bit more direct feedback. Now, I don't know that it actually makes all that much of a difference whether I say something to our CMs or whether you guys say something to the CMs. I do think they try to listen to all of it. They might know us a little bit better on a person by person basis, because, you know, like we all have our own character and eccentricities, and sometimes you're just like, I should probably not listen to him because he's that kind of player and he's a little crazy, or like I should listen more to this guy because I know he plays a lot of DDs and he's usually pretty sedate in his opinions. So they might know us a little bit better there, but I don't know. I don't think that being a CC really changes that relationship all that much. There's a certain like minimum floor to how you behave, but I mean, I usually behave better than that anyway. So I don't know. The only thing that's weird about being a CC is that everybody knows who you're at,
that's my
who you
point.
are, and And so like there are times when I'm in a division and I'm like, wow, it's really weird that battleship is shooting at me 13 kilometers away instead of the cruiser that's broadside halfway in between us. But they get that starstruck thing, and like, I have to kill this guy because that would really make my day, which just makes my life a little bit more difficult. Maybe that's why I started playing destroyers.
That was my point on the questions about the CC side. I mean, there is a bit of pressure when you firing up your console and you're a CC, everyone knows you, everyone wants to destroy you and make a screenshot of that kill and go to the social media and say, hey, look, I killed TacticAngel and all that stuff, and that CC doesn't know how to play the game. And you know how community acts and reacts about the known members of this small community, because we are a small community in the console. I mean, we're not huge PC, but we have our little moments. I mean, when known accounts and people gets together in a game, blue red team and all that stuff, you know how people act. But it's okay. I can feel you that there is a bit of pressure when you start to play the game. And
well, I'm in like those groups, the Facebook groups. I've only seen myself in one of those posts once, and it wasn't. I wasn't the guy who screwed up.
It's okay.
I was actually playing with Juice, and he decided to try to drive his carrier up the middle of the map, and I tried to save him, but it was maybe not the wisest maneuver he could have made there. But yeah, I think for better or worse, I think either people tend to like my channel or find it such a snooze fest that they don't really care about me that much.
As you said about your channel, you can see with if anyone wants to see, you can see that there is a consistency, there is correct thumbnails, there is graphic animation, there is some order in the lists and all that, in the upload list. I mean, it is a very, very tidy channel, and that means that you are spending time on making it better, and that you like to have a clear presence on the YouTube with your lists and your thumbnails. I mean, your history videos are separated from the main videos not only by the titles, but they are black and white. So that means that if I click in a black and white video, I know there is a history content inside. But also what I'm looking when I'm roaming in a YouTube channel, I'm not really I'm not really a guy that amazed by the numbers of the view numbers, because I like the quality inside the video, and sometimes numbers doesn't show that quality. I mean, you can see some 1 million views in some videos that have memes and some funny moments. You can see millions of views in those easy to digest videos, and when you click to some history, you see minor views and little views and low numbers, but the quality inside the video is very good. And I usually say, oh my god, I mean, that guy spends about I'm gonna say 3 days to gather all that stuff, all that info, all that accurate info, and make it happen in a video. There is a lot of time in editing, a lot of time in uploading and all that stuff, and only gets 1000 views. It's kinda unfair, because you make a really big effort to produce that video, and sometimes YouTube views doesn't be very rewarding. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, a lot of the whole thing about making content is, and I tell this to anybody who one time looked at me as like, oh wow, he's got a lot of subs, a lot of videos, a lot of viewers and whatever. Like, when you're just starting out, you know, having 5,000-6,000 subs, like, that looks amazing, because it's really hard to get the first 100, and it's a little bit less hard to get the next. But it takes a lot of effort to really come up through that. So I have always gone into it with, like, I'm going to make videos that I enjoy making. Part of that is also I'm learning along the way. A lot of this stuff I actually don't know all that much about. I know some things about some ships. Some of these ships obviously never exist, so I don't know anything about those. So I have to obviously do some research. But also the video editing process is it is extremely time consuming, but it is fun to, you know, like, Dark Souls your way through a video, and then eventually you get to the end and, you know, praise the sun. It looks pretty good, but you can still see there's like a problem here, there's a little problem there. We don't know how to spell certain words. Don't look for them. There's a couple of them out there in the videos. But yeah, then just try to do it better next time. And so I've always been kind of just playing my own game in terms of video production. I'm happy that anybody watches it, honestly.
You play the game, having fun, and then you upload the content of having fun with extra things that you give to the video. Each video, it's a part of yourself inside. I mean, whoever wants to produce content, it's not that easy. And especially, I give respect to anyone that it is uploading videos via the console. I mean, this is something very, very hard. That people are creating videos and content through the PlayStation, for example, with the program that they have. I mean, imagine typing some paragraph in your console controller. It is that hard. That way, it is similar to produce a content.
Well, it's actually a really powerful editing suite for being on a console. It's a great way to just, like, dabble your toes into it, and if you can get at least a little bit of traction, then maybe you look at, you know, kind of how do I take the next steps, and that's kind of what I did. So
3 years Legends, and we have Legendary tier 7, and now we have tier 8. What's going on? I mean, people were crying about Legendary tier. Yeah, Yamato. Legendary tier. I mean, it's unfair to have tier 7s in a legendary game. It is unfair for people that log daily to have the Yamato in 1 month and then ruin the legendary tier matchmaking. A lot of wine, and somehow, in a matter of time, tier 8. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
How your feelings about it? What do you think of it?
I mean, really, the game starts to get less interesting for me after tier 7, just because, like, most of that stuff is, you've got, you know, Yamato, and you've got some destroyers that were real. You have Alaska, that's a real ship. Montana's not. Most of every other nation isn't. So for me, like, those ships aren't necessarily even all that fun to play, except as a game, you know, whatever. So I've never been, like, super big on legendary tier. Tier 8's largely more of the same. It's going to be, you know, mostly stuff that doesn't exist. And so it's a little bit less interesting, particularly with the way that my channel has kind of evolved into somewhere between a review and gameplay sort of focus, along with the history lessons, whether they're attached to that video or separate, like the ones that you were looking at. So, like, in a certain sense, like these aren't as interesting for me. From a gameplay point of view, they're largely just bigger, more cumbersome ships. They can be fun to play. I actually kind of like conceptually the addition of Tier 8, but now I'm a little bit sad because now you'd have to fail Division. Well, not now, but like maybe in like an update or two. You'll have to fail Division on Iowa to go dunk on those Yamato players. And that makes me a little bit sad because that's like the internet thing to argue about. It's like Yamato or Iowa. Oh, let's talk about rain squalls and radar.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like the game was stalling a bit, and Wargaming decided that it's time to make a move and cross that waters with new content, because new content always brings new players, and sometimes it brings back veteran players that they had quit for an amount of time. But
I know a couple of folks from the alpha who saw Tier 8 and were like,
new style.
Let's see what that is.
But as we see from recent years, as the World of Tanks console did, they don't want veteran players to be back. They don't want them in the game. I'm saying that they don't want them. Don't judge me, but I mean they like new players, because new players buy new ships because they want to be really up in the game and try OP things, that premium ships and all that stuff. And also because veterans they have better knowledge in the game and in the mechanics, and they know how to avoid things, traps, monetary content and all that stuff. So I mean, it's easy for it's not easy for a veteran to spend some money on the game just in time, but for a new player that doesn't know anything around the game, it's more easy to open his wallet and spend in a premium ship that it maybe lead him to better win rate. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I think they like people who spend money on the game. I would agree with that, and I think that you're right in the sense that a person who's never spent $1 on the game has more possibility to buy everything else. Like there's a higher possible amount of money they can throw at the game if they really, really want to. I think the collectors are always there. Like there are people who have been there, like USS Texas, in my comment section, and they're still in my comment section today. I think Wargaming should send them a fruit basket at this point, because like that's commitment.
That's commitment. That's commitment. That's how commitment works.
I think they're always going to need people who are going to fill up the servers. So to a certain degree, I think all players who are in like similar economic circumstances are equally as valuable to them. I don't know. I would say that by and large, Wargaming would like to keep as many customers as possible and gain as many customers as possible, because that's really what's best for the game. Period.
They want to keep everyone happy. Everyone in the house, they want to be happy. I mean, they want to satisfy that portion of players and that portion of the community and that portion of the collectors and of the money spenders, and they want everyone to be happy, and they are really making a great effort on that. At the moment, they are producing content, they are updating the game every month. We have patch notes, new things around, new mechanism. They are listening to the feedback, they're trying to make the game better. But in the same time, if you open the tweets, for example, and go to the popular section of the things, you will see that Legends is going down and down and down and down in part of the content. And sometimes when community managers have live stream of the game, especially in the patch notes day, when they introduce to the community the new things in the live stream, you see that even less people are joining the chat, even less people are viewing the certain channel of the official Legends community. What do you think about that? I mean,
Sure.
You can see it even in your benchmark standings and in your YouTube tools that they show you some statistic numbers about the engaging numbers and other stuff in your videos and etc, etc, etc. What is your feeling about this?
So, it's interesting because I don't really know how to place it. Because a lot of times when I look at it, like, oh, I had a bad month. You're like, well, you made one video.
Okay.
So, like, sometimes there's some of that. Sometimes it's, Elden Ring came out. And you're like,
Yeah.
everyone. I was playing it. I'm still playing it. That game is hard. So, like, there's a natural ebb and flow. I think, like, summer, particularly having been largely locked in our houses for 2 years, I think folks are going outside, and I don't know how much that really is a reflection on the game versus the world that we all live in, and also have to dedicate some of that real world time into playing the game. I pay a lot of attention, like when we have those when we have events like the racing or the arena or whatever, to see, like, if we have top 1%, and you know where the top 1% is, you know how many people have participated
Perfect.
in that event. And, like, those numbers seem to rise and fall irrespective of the other numbers that we see in terms of maybe views and player engagement within the community. So, I mean, it could be that a lot of people have quit. It could be that all the people who are playing the game now are not that dedicated to it, not that interested, and not going out and looking for content. Or it could just be that the people who are playing are also taking their dog for a walk instead of hopping on a live stream. And they also changed the time of the live stream to like Monday morning. I'm usually up for like 30 minutes, and it's like, we're going live in 10, and it's like, well, I'm going to work.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. And also, I like to mention that the game peaked when the quarantine of the COVID situation was in his peak. So at the moment that we were locked in our houses with that COVID thing, the game was picking up in numbers and in players, because everyone was in their houses and they were spending time joining in a new game that was rising at the moment. But now here it comes, the thing that we said at the moment, and there is a glimpse of light that says mobile. And now we are in the new era of the mobile Legends, that it will bring some cheer to the game, or it will be the end of the game. I really don't know. And to be honest, in my feedback, I was really negative about the Mobile Legends and all that stuff when it came up with an announcement. I was really negative, and I said, I'm not hiding my opinion from anyone, even. And I said it was unnecessary, no one asked for it, for example, and why to spend some resources on the mobile game in development and not spend those resources in the current game that needs some things to be fixed immediately. So that was my main concern on the game, but with some announcements from the Wargaming that say that don't worry, we have extra things, an extra team that is joining the Mobile Legends, and we're gonna keep having the same amount of team separately, and etc, 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 and all that stuff. So what do you think about the mobile stuff?
Yeah, the chance that like Blitz gets just straight up cut off for reasons outside of normal market share. I think that people are responding to that, and as a big company, a multinational that's putting out a game, I can't imagine that isn't on your radar. So far, what I've seen from the mobile players is that they're not worse than the average person sailing around in a ship. The first time you get sunk by player 123X59C3197, it's a little bit humiliating. I know you said not to name and shame him, but
I'm gonna find him. Yeah, it's gonna.
The first time you get sunk by a mobile player, you're like, oh, I feel so humiliated. But like most of the people who came over to test for mobile are either people who are really into testing already. I saw a lot of people who were alpha, beta, or super testers whose names are now purple because they do have a player so-and-so name. And I know that a lot of people, like the dedicated people who are in the Blitz community, also were like, let's take a look at that. And that those people who are the people coming over from Blitz just to at least try out Legends, those people are probably not the casuals. Yeah. Those people are the hardcore Blitz community. And though Blitz is a very, very different game, they more or less understand both how to control a game with their phone, and they also know how to actually play a boat-based game. So that they would be a little bit better than average is actually not surprising. So I don't think it's a big deal. Overall, I get the criticism that they should be spending those extra resources in other areas, but I also watch the news, so
yeah,
I'm more than a little concerned about those things too.
The main concern on the mobile platform is that it is a player. He's on the bus and he's going home. He opens up the game, he logs in, games on the game, and now the bus is on his arrival. So he quits.
Yeah.
Game over. He gets off the bus and then he goes home. Then he reopens the game and said, okay, now I can play again. And all of a sudden, mobiles is not like the console in your house that you are gonna be interrupted less than a usual mobile player, unless you are playing in your bathroom.
So yeah, like I was thinking of the bathroom experience. That's where I've learned most of my German. And I don't know about you, but when I'm in there for long enough that I think I have enough time to do a German lesson, the length that I'm in there is a German lesson.
Exactly.
Not that it's like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going to close out of my German lesson, or in this case, the boat game, and go back to work. It's like, no, I'm going to finish this match.
Yeah,
right?
You're going to finish. Yeah.
Unless it's like a destroyer who's on the corner somewhere and there's enough people.
You're gonna be full in that game. Your mindset is gonna be more than 100% in that game when you are in the bathroom area. So it's gonna be huge. You're gonna deliver huge amount of IQ and your brain cells into that gameplay. So I agree with you. But there is also
and I think we've had the mobile game long enough that if we saw like very clearly identifiable mobile players constantly going AFK, you'd see them all with zeros, and that I don't know that I've ever seen it.
So
I don't know if that's your experience.
It's going to the correct. The correct path. I mean, people gonna play the game, but we don't know how they're gonna act. And I mean, there are people that care about their stats and the win rates and all the stuff, that they will never quit the game, and they will never start the game while they are moving, while they are driving. They're gonna play seriously, and it leads to the things that maybe wargaming also have. I'm gonna say some things to prevent that. I mean, some to give them negative points or whatever they want. Pick something that they're gonna impact their game style if they are going AFK. I mean, till now I've seen more AFK players in the console side of the things than mobile players. So at the moment, I think that mobile is in the correct path, but we'll see that. It's still.
I don't think they're. So far, I don't think they're a problem.
Yeah, me too.
Time will tell.
Okay, so we covered all the things about the Legends, all the things about the game, the gameplay, the CC, the content, and all the good vibes that we had in the alpha sessions and back that era. Are you against or do you like the CVs? The addition of the CVs was something that really changed the game, and I'm saying change the game, it really changed the DD mindset. I am a DD main player, and with the CVs, I really have to change my mindset to produce some good games, and also I have to be more careful, and I have to swear a bit more on the C. What is your point on the CVs?
I think the game was more fun and consistent without them. That said, I'm sure people have seen me out there playing CVs. There are days where I don't want to play boats, but to get the dailies done, I'll jump in 2 or 3 CV matches. That's fine. I think they're reasonably entertaining to play because they have that sort of like Death Star trench run sort of stuff going on, and that's fun as long as I don't think about how I'm ruining 8 players' experience. I can feel relatively okay about it. I really don't like playing against them unless I'm in a CV division, and usually if I'm in a CV division, I've done certain things to make sure that one person who's out there ruining 8 people's day is going to have his day ruined in return. So, I mean, they're always going to be difficult, and they're always going to be controversial because it's asymmetric gameplay, and asymmetric gameplay is if it's not impossible to do, it's impossible to convince everyone that you've done it. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. I can see that coming. I mean, I'm not feeling happy when a CV player is in his plane and he's focusing on me in my DD all the time and doesn't allow me to make a move. But it's okay. You have to deal with it. You have to overcome this and make some different paths and game style to prevent those things.
Yeah, you just never get too far away from your nearest cruiser.
You have your friends, you go with them in the safe path, and you can deal with. You can take your revenge somehow with that time. But I see more and more people playing the CV class more consistently, and they produce more and more good games. I mean, people are getting real into this, and they are getting better in the CVs. And if you see CV player, probably it's gonna be good player. I mean, if he's playing the CVs, he's gonna be good. I mean, at least he's gonna be average, not the kind of the people that they don't know how to play some classes. I mean, the guys and girls who picks the CVs are usually know how to play the game. Okay, so
I would largely agree with that.
So with that, I think that we close all the things that we had to speak. I mean, I think that we're gonna feature him more than one time, so we're gonna let some things for the next time, for the next podcast. But now it's time to answer some questions from the community, and I'm gonna pick them up now because community have some special questions about you. So let's start with the majestic HMS Pickle that says, what one ship would you like to see added, and why it is HMS Perth?
I mean, I like Leander class ships as much as the next person. I suppose if I wanted one ship added to the game and it was HMS Perth, that would be because we would exist in some alternate reality where I'm from Australia. So I get why Australians would want it added to the game. And as an American, if I were to pick any one ship, not just necessarily a ship that's already modeled in the game, because I think that Perth is on PC. If I were to pick one ship of any ship, I would probably pick one with kind of similar end in USS Johnston, though Hull and Heermann wouldn't be very far behind that. Just because it was a ship that fought its way all the way to the end, and it was sad to lose her. So it means a lot to the people of that country.
Perfect. Okay. So, next question is my question, and says, Weimar, what's your opinion about that ship, and do you think that it was fair that it was moved to tier 7?
It depends on what you mean by fair. I played it a few times since the update, and like I didn't love that it was at tier 7, but then I saw Yamato and I basically deleted it. So like it seems to be doing all right where it's at. The fact that they don't give it a 4-slot mod feels kind of cheap. I know that they're trying to get around giving it that main battery mod, but you don't have to give it access to main battery mod to give it a 4th slot. Like, if you look at all the Hipper class ships, some of them have access to secondary mod, some of them don't. Now, secondary mod's not very useful on a cruiser, but it's an option, and you can put it there.
Yeah, indeed. And you have also the commanders with their skills and abilities to make something in the side. So I agree. Why not? I mean, you can make a 4th slot and make it something else. Perfect.
But I also think it would have been easier just to fix the reload time. And that's what I would have preferred. So as much as we all like to make fun of the poor people who bought the Weimar and now aren't enjoying it quite as much, I think it is a little bit
at least
sus to have them buy into this tier 6 ship
make
and then
it tier 7. At least they have enough time to make up about their decision. They have enough time to test it in the new environment and see if they like it or not, if they want to keep it or make a ticket and refund it. I think it's around August 14. They have enough time to test it and see the feel of the thing. So anyway, that's a problem for people that bought that Weimar. So we're gonna see how that goes. Next question is from Rider of Black, and he says, how do you feel about the current state of the game, and how personally do you think it can be improved?
I mean, I think I said earlier enough about how I feel about the game. I enjoy playing it, and a lot of the reason that I enjoy playing it just comes down to I don't take any of this too seriously, and I see some people's blood pressure rise over time, and I think that like maybe they just need to remember that this is a game, and that, you know, theoretically we're supposed to be having some fun. In terms of how to improve the game, I do think that I think really the big issue at this point is probably that the commander system, while I really like it, has probably already reached critical mass in terms of just becoming too big. And a lot of that has to do really with locking so much content behind a paywall. Because I've had some friends start up the game, and when you realize that only about half of the abilities that your commander could choose as an inspiration are even available to you, and that you'd have to pay $10 or $20 a pop, you're asking people a lot.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you just started playing this. Do you feel like dropping $900 on it? You're like, well, I was thinking about paying my rent for the next month or two instead. So
it's kind of green. It's greedy. I mean, sometimes they get greedy on the things that, and if people take the bait of becoming very fast good players, so they have to bend over that grind and take the bait.
Well, for the most part, I don't think they even really need to do it. I play only with historic commanders, and I play the game relatively well. And not the best player out there, but I'm far from the worst. I just think that it looks like such a huge hurdle that you just don't get into it. I mean, I played War Thunder at one point, and I played that for about 2 hours before I realized they wanted $10 from me, and I was like, well, I guess I'm done with this. It's like, you're gonna have to stretch that out, and I just think that that's an example of the barrier to entry. Those commanders really aren't going to make you better, but you do see people talking about them on the internet, and I think that kind of keeps people either in the ultra casual end of the pool or just not playing the game at all, and really disassociating the commander inspirations from commanders is probably something that will eventually happen one way or the other, just because so far every World of Tanks or World of Warships iteration or version of the game has had a commander rework. So I think that's a matter of time, and I hope when they do that, they also kind of look at aligning what they want the game experience to be with what people are doing. Because I don't know, what would you guess is the number of people who run an accuracy battleship commander versus a survivability battleship commander?
I'm gonna say that people 6 to 10.
Okay, so you're around 2 to 1 in terms of a ratio. I would imagine it's probably in the area of 2 to 1, maybe as high as 3 to 1, except particularly when you carve out German battleships.
Exactly. Especially if you are on the side of German battleships, all that stuff.
If it's anybody other than Germans, probably almost everybody's running accuracy. And we have probably heard year in and year out for as long as World of Warships has been a thing, we want those close quarters engagements, and we want people to get in there and really have those fun brawls. And it's like, well, then stop making ranged combat so effective.
I mean, 15 kilometers battles in a fast-paced game. Why? You have close spawns, okay? You have your maps tied together with islands and all that stuff, and hard turns, so that people can engage each other with the secondaries, with the brawls, with 1-2 salvos to finish each other and all that stuff. And you are giving people the opportunity to be in a battleship and fire from 19 kilometers away with an accuracy build and sniper build. So why?
Yep. and
I mean, it's controversial. Yeah.
I'm not just I'm not saying this just because I like to run survivability builds, which I do, but that has a lot to do with everyone knowing who I am and shooting at me. And I'm usually out of position. So both of those things don't work in my favor. But, like, you said it too. Like, secondaries. Secondaries are, I don't want to say worthless on Legends, but they're not very effective. Yeah. And that design decision is just saying, well, we don't want people to drive close to each other and rely on their secondaries. Yeah. I mean, come on, guys. It's like, if you're driving close to somebody, the chances that you get hit by a torpedo go up exponentially. And the chance that you need to maneuver in ways that matter in a split-second sort of decision goes up exponentially. That is more engaging than being a good shot with your Scharnhorst at 19.7 kilometers.
You can look at this in the social media. I mean, if you look some clips and videos that people upload in the social media, the epic games are the games that people come close together each other. I mean, that's the epic games. I mean, I'm not the guy that feels enthusiasm for a battleship that snipes at 16 kilometers and kills a cruiser with a salvo. I mean, that's something really inevitable to happen in the game. You're a cruiser, he's a battleship, he sniped you, you're gone. But if you see battleships come together and brawl each other and maneuver with torpedoes and all that stuff, that's really a thing that the average gamer wants to see. If you like to sit back and snipe with your battleship, where's the action? I mean, probably you're not gonna be able to snipe, because even if you are making accuracy builds, there is the RNG factor that it's gonna change your cells, and you're gonna see some cells fall furthermore, you're gonna see some short cell and all that stuff, and you're never gonna hit your target. But with the way you are aiming and you think the cell is gonna go, so you're probably gonna end up dead from a cruiser that it's gonna keep pushing you fires and it's gonna burn you alive from 19 kilometers. And you're gonna that's what people are crying in the social media and willing to rebuild and all that stuff. They are crying a lot about it, but that's how you end up if you are in a battleship and you try to stay back to snipe. You're gonna die from fires, you're gonna die from a destroyer that exploit your location, you're gonna die or you're gonna be useless. You're gonna be...
you're gonna get pointed out.
I really agree with your point on the close quarter, on the CQB battles in that game, because that game was fixed from the beginning with short spawns, close location, and the teams that they are spreading in the map are boosting the close quarter battles and all that stuff. So very good point here, Tactic, and I agree with your sayings.
Yeah, I mean, usually when I'm suggesting things to wargaming, it's all sorts of esoteric, like mind control for. I don't want to say it's manipulation. I've said, hey, if you don't want people to back up to the edge of the map, why don't you just hot map the map so that if you're like close to the objectives, you get more points, and if you're close to the Jean Barriere, you get less points. Or why don't you encourage people to cap bases by giving them a medal if they cap 3 bases? I've said that several times. But humans are an intelligent system. Humans may not be individually intelligent. We've all seen that. But like, if people have good games because they're going in and doing things that are worthwhile, then they'll do that. They'll modify their behavior and not, perpetuate sort of boring gameplay.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's move into another question. Let's go to the Talha guy, Talha1808. The question is, use Anim Commander's History Nerd. that's a question, and I think that you already answered it in the previous chat that we had.
I don't have
Yeah,
any of
yeah.
them, so I can't
Yeah,
use them. So
it was a mini toxic question that has been answered. So we have another question for our patron, Sevenrottendays, and he says, two brothers, you go down the middle or not go down the middle? What is your option on the two brothers?
I mean, I've already admitted that I've done it, but I assume they mean at the beginning of the match, and I think really only you can answer that question for yourself, because it really depends on what you want out of the game. If you're there for the lulls or collecting hate mail, then you know what you need to do, and if you want to win the game and you're at least marginally competent in maneuvering, you probably do have a better chance not doing that. But I'm not your dad.
So pick up. Okay. Next question from Rockstabber. How did you come up with your history/review format?
So that just sort of happened. In my early reviews, it just started with overview, and then a deeper dive into stats, and then gameplay. And then, I think starting with the G101 video, I talked about the history of the ship, and people said that they liked it. I think actually people said that I sounded like I should be on National Public Radio or something like that. But
why not?
So then I added that, and then at some point, one of the overviews really felt like it could use a little bit more in the commander section, so that kind of got slotted in right behind it. So it just kind of happened.
Okay, yeah. So it's kind of happened, and it's really good. It's really good. So next, Popcorn. What controller preset do you use? And it says the one that allows you to follow your cells and torpedoes, of course. What is your controller preset? I mean, you're using the preset 5, preset 6. What is your
No. I use preset 2, and I assume that he watches my videos because this is the most common question that comes up right next to has anybody ever told you that you sound like Ryan Reynolds? And you've been around long enough. I think the default preset is 3 or 4 now.
I think it's
You've been around long enough to know that those presets didn't used to exist.
But we don't tell them. We keep it secret. Okay, so it's the preset 2. So,
preset 2.
Preset
I have a
2.
strong correlation with pressing up and going forward. I can't unwire my brain.
Okay, that's very good. So, and the same. See, crazy little squirrel. What tier 8 ships and historical ships do you want to see in the game? So, what do you like to see in a tier 8? And it says tier 8 ships and historical ships, but in the Legends, tier 8 and historical doesn't come together, but we can push it to make it happen. So,
I mean, if I had my way, we would up tier the Johnston into tier 8 and just be like some boss Fletcher
sounds
premium,
good.
because they need to fill that spot with something. I mean, there's not really a lot of tier 8 ships that I'm looking forward to, because most of them that are interesting got either moved down to tier 7 or might be still in the queue for legendary. Like you would normally think. I don't know. There aren't that many. Historically, though, there's a ton of ships out there that come to mind. Obviously, the American carriers that they've got on PC, Enterprise, Essex, which isn't in the game currently but used to be, Hornet, Ark Royal for the Brits. I mean, we all hate carriers, but they have great history, and I love talking about it. Haida, I've been on the Haida bandwagon since before the Cossack came out. to the folks down in Australia, I'd take the Vampire. I think the Vampire is probably tier 8 or legendary, one or the other.
Yeah.
Not sure.
And also maybe it's tier. It's legendary. Legendary, I think. I don't remember.
I don't remember if it's tier 9 or if it's tier 10 on PC. But I'd love to see it, even though it doesn't look like it's from the right time period, because it isn't. But yeah. I'd love to see it.
Let me check for us to make it happen. wikiwargaming.net. Vampire. Commonwealth promo premium tier 3 destroyer.
Vampire 2.
Let's go to Vampire 2. That's another section. Let's go Vampire 2, Wiki Wargaming. It's a tier 10 Commonwealth tier 10 destroyer. A daring class destroyer with improved anti-submarine armament, one of the largest and most powerful warships built in Australia. So I think that now we know.
Huh. Alright, so probably would end up being legendary then, yeah.
Let's see that.
So I don't know. I didn't really answer the question. USS Johnston. We're sticking with it.
So, another one from Rockstabber. Do you have a hot take on Graf Zeppelin and the future of carriers? I mean, we probably said about the future of carriers, but let's say on the Graf Zeppelin.
Well, what would be a hot take for the Graf Zeppelin? Like, it's a good ship?
Yeah.
Because it is a good ship. Unfortunately, its air group is a disaster, and as a carrier, that makes a little bit of a difference.
Yeah. It's okay.
I have spent so much time gathering information on that.
The Graf Zeppelin, yeah.
On the Graf Zeppelin and trying to quantify why I don't like it.
Okay. It's okay. So, question answered. Last questions. What are your predictions for the next batch of tier 8 ships? I mean, you already answered. We said that too, and I don't see any other than. What do you think would be great campaign ships for the remainder of 2022? So, what do you think about that? Any campaign ideas about the time that left before closing the year?
I think that they'll probably be doing a lot of tier 8s, and since I don't know all that many of them, I'll I guess maybe pick one that I would remember, like the A gear, because it's like every other German ship, just more.
Yeah. Exactly as you said, more.
But what I kind of hope they do with campaigns kind of moving forward is, I'll throw this out there so maybe people will find this interesting, or maybe not. But like, I have been asking Wargaming, hey, like, why don't you make a bank of ships that if people want to play out a campaign but they don't want that ship, like this one, if you want to play through the whole campaign but you don't like French battleships, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat, but to be fair, the Republique is a great ship as far as I can tell. But let's say you want to play all the way through that, you're a DD main, and maybe there's a bank of ships, maybe 2, 3, 4 ships that if you get to the end, you say, no, I don't want that, I'll opt into one of these other ships. And it could be like an older ship, like if they wanted to bring back the Summers. I don't think that's broken. I don't think anybody would complain seeing more of them out there, particularly CV players. Or maybe it's a good place to put, ships that might not make good campaign ships, like the Carnot or something like that.
Yeah, that's...
So I don't know if that seems like an idea that people would like, but that's kind of what I've been hoping.
That's a very good idea, and I'm gonna add to this. If you remember in World of Tanks that there was a special event as a campaign, for example, as we said, and there was a list of tanks from tier 8 to tier 6, and you have 3 tanks to grind. Even if you take them all, or if you like to go to a certain path and choose. I mean, if you grind 1,000 points, you can take the tier 5 ship. If you grind 2,000 points, you can take the tier 6, and etc, etc. And that list was 4 options, for example, a multi-list to choose about. Yeah, that's very good. I mean, it was very good.
Yeah, and I think they did something similar for like the Halloween stuff.
Yeah. Especially the Halloween events in the World of Tanks, they had that list from tier 8 to tier 6 or tier 5. I mean, it was some event that you can choose up to your. You can grind and take them all, or you can go to a certain path and make your choices. That was very good, and I think that maybe they will come up with that sometime. I don't know. It's a very good idea, especially for people that is missing ships. But for that, they're having the XP stuff, the green XP that you may grab them for. I don't know. It's a good idea. Okay, I think that Tactic, we are speaking together each other for I think about an hour. Yeah, almost, and almost an hour, and we don't know each other names. My name is Nick, but I really don't know your name. I mean,
I always go by Tactic. I think people have figured out in some capacity who I am, but I enjoy my relative anonymity.
Excellent. Yeah, I really like that. I mean, do we know how that nickname came? I mean, Tactic and Angel. I mean, is it something with your logo? Because we see a lot of things on your logo. I mean, I can't describe your logo at the moment, but it's a very beautiful logo.
Thank you.
Does the logo connect with your nickname, or it is something?
No.
Okay.
Actually, it really almost is the opposite. But no, it was I think 1999. I showed up at college and I needed a name to kind of, and I wanted something that like summarized who I am, and I was like, I need something that's like very thinking and also sort of faith-based. So I played tons of Final Fantasy Tactics, and obviously I was actually into angelology at the time, which is an interesting field of study, if you can even call it that. But yeah, I needed to come up with something so that I could, get on Quake 2 or Quake 3 and just murder people with shotguns.
Excellent. Okay, guys, I think that we covered all the things about, I'm gonna say, about Tactic and the game, 3 Years Legends, but I think this is the part 1. We're gonna call Tactic for another podcast for sure. For me, if you like to see content of the TacticAngel, you can find him in his YouTube channel. Come on, Tactic, tell us about your channel.
I mean, it's youtube.com/TacticAngel. There's like all of my videos there. If you don't like YouTube, you can also find most of the channels mirrored on Odyssey. A lot of them are on Facebook. A lot of them are on Rumble. I know that there's not a lot of activity out there in terms of gaming, but I wanted something in case YouTube got weird about... sometimes they don't like us talking about certain historical figures. So
sometimes things go down. I mean...
So I wanted a place. You can find them out there, but for the most part, most up to date is youtube.com/TacticAngel.
Excellent. Do you have a community? I mean, do you have a Discord private server?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Well, I mean, I do have a private Discord server, but I've never invited anybody to it. So it's pretty much just me.
I see. Okay. I mean, it's really okay. Being in many social medias, it's not something very good, because you need to have people to be there for you sometimes, because you have to moderate, you have to make content, you have to interact with the followers and all that stuff. So being spread in all the social media sometimes isn't very good, because sometimes when the community and your fans are in need to come in touch with you, you have to be there. And if you don't be there, they're gonna leave you. I mean,
and then they're gonna get mad and try to sync me and post it on Facebook.
They're gonna whine about it. Okay, guys, that's it. That was TacticAngel. I'm really pleased and really thank you for being here. It was a really, really good podcast, and I really enjoy it. And I keep some things.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.